lighter.
Have a lighter?
Oh, light it in the classroom? Are you crazy? No. If you want, we can mimic. We can sing happy birthday at the end of the class. We're not having fire in the class. We're not doing that. I'm sorry. I know it's your birthday, but with all my love. Guys, please get a literature book.
That's a good way to remember everything. I was lying.
I told him that he probably didn't think we were going to last long. That's why he probably did. He's like, no. If you want, I'll actually have you move over and sit with these guys because we're going to be working in table groups again today.
I don't like him.
We don't want Earl. We don't want Earl.
She wouldn't let me light a candle. At the end of class, if Mrs. Thornton doesn't think that it's a fire risk, we'll sing happy birthday to you and we'll light the cookie.
What?
Okay, guys. Today I'm gonna read the cultural connection paragraph on page 154. So if you guys will turn to page 154, I would appreciate it.
Did you read our class suggestions too?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of your guys' suggestions.
Did you see my picture? We appreciate you.
I did. I liked your picture very much. Okay, so I'm going to read the paragraph because today we're going to wrap up with Geoffrey Chaucer. We're going to talk a little bit more about the social aspect of The Wife of Bath versus the literary aspect. And then we're going to say goodbye to Geoffrey Chaucer. We're not going to talk about him anymore. Okay, and I gave you guys a handout because we're going to do the critical reading questions. And after I read this, we're going to go over how I want you guys to do that in your table groups, okay?
So no anything goes there?
We're going to do it at the end of class if we have time and if everybody's very good and on task. Okay, so The Wife of Bath uses the story of the knight and the old woman to express the idea of self-same sovereignty or equality in marriage between a husband and wife. Whether such an idea meant that women shared equal ownership of property and family wealth, or whether it meant that they had an equal share in decision-making, that such a belief was well ahead of the times. So what that means is the idea that women had equal rights in a marriage, they had the right to own property, and they had the right to make decisions around the house, was not a very common belief at that time. Very few people thought this way. Most people thought that women were below men. In medieval England, women could only inherit property if there were no male heirs in the family. Usually, property was entailed or assigned to the male survivors, the women being left under the men's care until marriage or death. So if I had no brothers and my father owned a large amount of property, when he died, if the land was entailed, I couldn't inherit it. It would go to the closest male relative. So it would be an uncle or a cousin, or it could even be a very distant ninth cousin 10 times removed that you'd never met, because legally a woman couldn't inherit the property if it was entailed to a male. And then ideally that man would take care of me until I got married, and then my husband would have to do it, or until I died. That was not always the case. Socially, that's what was supposed to happen, but if they decided that they didn't want to support you, they didn't have to. Often, any property she did bring to the marriage was immediately forfeited to her husband, leaving her with virtually no further claims to it. So if somehow my property wasn't entailed through my father, and I had no brothers, and there were no male relatives, and I did inherit property, when I get married, it immediately goes to my husband, and I have no more claims on that land. So if something happens between us, it's his, not mine. Only in 1857 did Great Britain's Married Women's Property Acts first allow women to own property in their own name. That such laws did not exist in medieval England reinforced that women held a subordinate role in society, an expectation the Wife of Bath refused to obey. So the wife of Bath refused to accept the fact that she had to be a second-class citizen. She was independently wealthy. She felt that she had the right to marry as many times as she saw fit. Each of her husbands had died before she remarried, though. Thought I would insert that. And she thought that she had the right to an equal say in how things were going to be run in her household, and that she had the right to decide what she was going to do with her land and her money. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little bit on the discussion questions. I want you guys to do 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. We're going to do the whole thing. There are going to be 2 people in each group. There's going to be the recorder, who's going to write everybody's name on the paper, and they're going to write down the questions, the answer to all of the questions. And then there's going to be a presenter who's going to present it at the front of the class. The presenter cannot be the same person who presented on Tuesday. It has to be somebody else. Okay? I gave you guys a sheet. Okay, guys, this tells you where the answers is. You want me to tell you where the answers are?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Each question, I outlined where you can find the answer to that question, or I further explained the questions that are your opinion, that you kind of have to come up with an answer on your own. So number 1, you can find the ending on page 154 and 155 from lines 382 to 410. On number 5, I made a typo, and it says on page 1473, the 7 is a typo. It's on page 143. Okay, so you guys are going to do this. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes, and then we're going to present in our table groups. Okay? Yeah, you don't have to write out the question. It doesn't have to be complete sentences. Yeah. Yes, you guys are the last class. You can do whatever you want.
Are we going to be turning this in?
Yes, you will be turning in the paper by dealing with all of your
My name is
You do not have to write out. Yeah, guys, you don't have to write out the questions. The answers don't have to be in complete sentences.
They don't?
No.
My name is Guapo.
It might be a good idea to talk in complete sentences when you go up and present, so if you'd like to write them that way. Only thing to you guys can.
Oh, don't worry.
Okay.
I wouldn't really say Wait. I have contributed.
I know, I heard you talking.
Wait, where did you just read that question? Oh, we're doing these questions. Wait, miss. Just tell her where they find the answer at.
These are the questions, and this is to help you find the answer.
Alright.
So that way, if you don't remember where it is, you don't have to go back through the whole story.
Okay, let's
Well, if you're not, everyone will surprised.
You have to present all of it?
You're going to present all of the answers.
Right here.
Tiene una mamá.
So when we go to present, we just have to say the answers.
Yeah, Brent. Can't stand
Why is it going to change?
Yeah.
What is the wife going
Yes. So these are the actual questions. This is just what you're going to say. So were you surprised by the outcome of the story? And how it ended surprising you? Did you think that he was going to end
That's
up?
one of the questions in the answer. Why?
Well, let's look at the end.
Like the queen that said, I keep a secret.
So basically at the end of the story, the night she gives the option. She's like, do you want me to see or would you rather be ugly and loyal? He decides whatever you want to do. So it's either you do. So since you have this way, she decides both and loyal, and then they're happy and start with that. So were you surprised after the rape was right? And then he had to find out what women most desire to save his life. So did that, the ending of him ending up loyal, beautiful wife surprise you after that? Were you expecting that to happen? Oh my God!
What is it? Which one is it?
There's a spider in one of your seats.
Oh, it's on the roster. It's okay.
La cosa le dijo, espérate. La esposa le dijo a, no, le dijo la vieja, le dijo, ¿quieres que te vea? ¿Quieres que te bonita?